Hey, what's up, Exit the Matrix family? Bob here. Hey guys, I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for joining me on this morning talk. So yesterday, and I didn't get the video uploaded on Friday, so this is actually Saturday I'm doing this video. So the video from Friday will upload today. I may have two upload today. We'll see. I might drop the other one on this one on Sunday. Typically Sundays I don't make a video. I try to at least set aside one day for family, and kind of not get too distracted with social media and stuff. But AI and robotics is what we've been talking about, and this will be a part 2. And I kind of finished up yesterday, at least mostly towards the end, on just going back to the beginning. Like we are repeating history right now. The whole saying, history repeats itself. Well, I was explaining how in the Atrahasis, the Atrahasis cuneiform tablet, how it was explaining how the Adamu, the human avatar, the Homo sapien, was hybridized, was created to alleviate the work of the gods, of the Yagigi, of the non-royal class of the Anunnaki, the Watchers, whatever you want to call them. And the Homo sapien was designed to be like a self-replicating organic robot. And for those of you that scoff at that, think about this, folks. People that have NDE accounts, when they pop out of their body, say they're in a car crash or something, and they talk about looking down and watching like the rescue people working on the car and trying to extract the body, and it's odd because they always say like they had like no feelings for the body at all. In fact, sometimes they were almost disassociated with the body, where they were like, oh, what happened to that person? What are they doing? Like they're watching a movie, right? And the point I'm trying to make is that the body is just a vessel, folks. It's a machine. It's a highly advanced organic machine. And once the spirit is no longer controlling the body, that's all it is. It's just a cast aside vessel. A vehicle, right? So when you go back to the Atrahasis, it goes over a lot of people's heads, but you'll notice how where they have to sacrifice one of their own to give life to the Adamu, because they created this body, but it had no life. It was like the machine without the driver, like a car without a driver. And so what they did was they sacrificed one of the Anunnaki, and they moved his spirit into the Adamu, into the atom, into the body. And that gave it life. And that first successful incarnated vessel was Adam. And they actually called him Adapa in the cuneiform, but it's Adam in the Bible. And Adapa was very intelligent. Very intelligent. He was so intelligent that the king of the Anunnaki, named Anu, wanted to personally meet him, because it was such a wonder that his son Enki and his daughter Ninmah known as Nin Herzog. Hathor in Egypt, she's known as. You know, the birthing, the womb goddess. Also known as Mammy. That's another one of her Anunnaki names, Mammy. You know, if you think about it, a lot of people call their moms or their grandmas Mammy. And one of her names is Ninma, you know, Mama, right? Ninma, Mama. I mean, folks, it all goes back to the beginning. I mean, I know we're playing a game with phonetics here, you know, but look, a lot of these sounds, these sound resonances that we call words, have been passed down for thousands of years through different languages, but a lot of them have the same sound to them because it's the same vibration, the sound resonance, right? But Anu wanted to meet this Adapa. I mean, there's a whole other cuneiform story about this where Adapa is taken up into heaven to meet Anu. He's given audience with him, and Enki tells him not to eat the food provided, the food or drink that Anu provides to him, because he says that the food and drink is designed to give you everlasting life. And he says that, you know, he doesn't want him having everlasting life. And I've also often thought about that, because when you read the story of Adapa, the cuneiform tablet, it's interesting how Enki's kind of the one championing. God, that's hard to say. Wow. Anyways, he's the one that's kind of the caretaker of Adapa, obviously, right? Because he was the one who had a hand in his genetic makeup. And he's kind of protecting him from Enlil, because Enlil's enraged at the fact that Adapa is so advanced. He just wanted a simple worker slave. He didn't want this advanced being that he said could eventually be as powerful as the gods, as the Anunnaki. They just wanted simple workers that were just smart enough to swing a hammer and to, you know, to obey orders. But it was interesting how Enki didn't want Adapa to drink, you know, this, or drink or eat this food provided by Anu, which would give Adapa immortal life. Which is kind of interesting, and it kind of reminds me of the Epic of Gilgamesh, right? At the end of the Epic of Gilgamesh, he's trying to find this plant that gives you everlasting life, and he finds out it's like in the bottom of the ocean, right? That's where you see the cuneiform tablets of Gilgamesh, you know, looking like he's a scuba diver, right? Because he's going down to get that plant. So you got a lot of like similar, like, you know, story there as far as that goes. This, you know, search for everlasting life, and that it can be found in a plant, you know, or a food. But then I thought about it. Well, think about this. Why would Enki not want that? Well, it's obvious. Enki understood that this Adam race was going to. He understood that he gave the Adam race way higher upgrades than they were meant to have, than Enlil wanted him to do. And he knew that they would outbreed the Anunnaki, and he knew that it would be the end of the Anunnaki if they could be immortal as the Anunnaki were. Now, were the Anunnaki truly immortal, folks? I don't know about it living in a physical life if they were. Maybe they had advanced technology and medicine where they could extend their lives for a lot longer than we do. Or tinker with their genetics, right? Or have some kind of revive their genetics. I don't know, folks. Look, if they were a super advanced race that were genetically modifying Homo sapiens, then I would say perhaps they had that technology. And he wouldn't want Adapa to have that everlasting, that immortal physical life. It could be a twofold thing, folks. Maybe it's because he knew that they would overrun the Anunnaki, and if they could live forever, the humans, then they would never be able to control them. But if you could limit their lifespan, right, now they wouldn't live long enough to become smart enough to gain enough wisdom to become a true threat to these long-lived Anunnaki. By limiting their lives, it would stop the knowledge, before they got too smart for their britches, so to speak, right? So, but I also think it has another thing. Perhaps there was mercy in that too. Because, folks, the mercy is in the fact that outside of the body, we are immortal spirits. We are gods. We are the fractals of God, right? And so if you trap an immortal spirit in a body that never dies, you just essentially imprisoned that spirit. Now, obviously, if that spirit has the ability to, to purposely take themselves off the game board, dismiss themselves, if you get my drift here, right? Because, there's a couple words we can't use here, right? To get flagged as inappropriate content. I mean, literal words of our freaking, vocabulary. It's ridiculous, folks. But anyways, so it's something to think about. Was Enki being, was this a nefarious reason, or was this a beneficial reason? Maybe Enki understood how torturous life is in an avatar form, in a third dimension. Now, were the Anunnaki able to jump dimensions and reside in other dimensions that, or on different worlds or whatever? Probably. But we all know the pain of living in the human avatar body, right? We all know it. Folks, I'd say 98% of people that have NDEs, they don't want to come back. And those are the ones that we actually hear from, that are given the choice to stay or come back. And 98% of them don't want to come back. But they get talked into it. Well, you got kids. We'll show you what'll happen to your husband or your parents or your brothers and sisters. And they kind of browbeat people, right, a little bit into coming back. And there are a few that aren't given a choice. They're just shoved back. They're like, it's not your time, go back. And they send them back into their body, right? But how many millions or billions of spirits have that choice and they stay and they stay? They don't ever come back, right? It's interesting to think, folks. I mean, we're only hearing from the viewpoint of the few that decided to come back, right? And that modern medicine was able to revive them to that point where they could come back, to the physical realm. You probably had a lot less of that back in the days, and that's why a lot of those people that had NDEs back in the days were almost looked at as gods or deified, right? When they came back and taught about the life outside of the body, the spiritual realm, the source, meeting with angels, right? These light beings, these council, these, they say there's these, sometimes you stand in front of a council of elders, or administrators, spirit guides. There's all these descriptions, folks, that you hear in NDE accounts. So maybe Enki was he didn't want him to eat that food that would make him immortal, because then he would be stuck in that mortal body, imprisoned. And Enki knew that this was a torturous, rough world to come to. And maybe he was actually being, what's the word I'm trying to think of here? Dang it. Pity. Not pity, but mercy. He was shown mercy by limiting the age of the human avatar, because he understood that he was taking gods, little gods, right? Children gods, from the source, from the higher dimensions, and either tricking, enticing them, or who knows how they got him to come, they got us to come here and inhabit these avatar bodies. But he felt it wasn't right to make us stay here too long. because it was like an imprisonment. And we were being, look, they were designed for labor, folks, to be slaves, okay? Read it. It's so obvious and concrete in the Atrahasis that the Homo sapien was designed to be a slave worker. And so Enki was trying to show mercy by limiting the time that a spirit would have to spend in this avatar form. But was it the Anunnaki that set up the mind wipe? So that when we come here, we don't know that we're literally slaves? That we're coming to a slave planet, a prison planet, where you work your whole life away just to get a few years of retirement, which now they're getting ready to push it up to, what, 69, 70 years old, right? Because here's the thing, folks. They just want you to... they want to time it just right so that they don't have to pay you benefits. They want you to work your whole life from about 16 on. I mean, you know, because a lot of times kids are encouraged when they're 16 to work a part-time job, right? Maybe it's 18, who knows? Maybe these kids nowadays, it's not even until after college, but whatever. You get my meaning. Let's just say, from 16 to 70, they want you working your whole freaking life away for the system, on the hamster wheel, as as you're making money to survive, and they're devaluing that money and stealing your energy and wealth so that you never get ahead. And then right about when you think you can finally relax a little, sit on your porch and not have to go grind it out 40 to 70 hours a week, you know. Trust me, I was a salary worker, manager for many years, working over, 50, 60 hours a week. Slave hours, yeah. Slavery, right? Then, when you think you're going to get a little bit of rest here on Earth, they want to time it just right so that you pass. So that they don't have to pay you those retirement benefits. And look, we all know Congress has been stealing from the retirement fund, from Social Security, forever. It's probably nothing but IOUs. It's probably like, remember on Dumb and Dumber, at the end of the movie, when he finally hands over the suitcase of cash, and all it is IOUs written on paper. That's your government for you, folks. That's what they're doing with your benefit programs. Because we're run by criminals. They're psychopaths. But I know we're talking a lot about, you might be saying, we're not even talking about AI or robotics. Don't you get it, folks? We are. The human avatar is a robot, okay? The brain is the AI, or at least the system that runs the body. It's the operating machine, right? It's the computer system of the body. Now, the consciousness is separate, right? The consciousness is what animates the human body. It's what takes control of the brain, of the operating system. But just like a car that you can put on cruise control or whatever, or like an airliner that you can put on autopilot, the brain is designed to auto run a lot of the systems of the body so that the consciousness, the spirit, doesn't have to manage every little function of the body. Like breathing, you don't have to think about breathing. You automatically breathe. It's the brain is already causing you to breathe even when you're not thinking about it. However, you can consciously breathe. And that's how you can create DMT, right? When you do conscious breathing techniques and such, that's because you take control over from the brain, the operating system, and you are personally operating the machine. You grab the controls, so to speak, right? Do you see where I'm going with this, folks? Now think about this AI and robotics that they're building now. Look at these robots that Tesla's talking about. That, what is it, next 5 years they'll be able to produce, it's crazy, hundreds of thousands of these things a year. They want to make these personal robots so that they have a place in every home, so that everybody, it'd be like buying like a car, basically. You'd make payments on it, right? You know, $25,000 for your own personal robot, right? To, you know, do your dishes and do your laundry and stuff, right? Clean up your yard, mow your yard, you know, mow your lawn, stuff like that, right? Watch your kids. Who knows what they all have, you know, planned for these personal robots, right? But the question is, folks, with the AI, and especially with quantum computers, where these quantum computers can reach into other dimensions, the question is will that leave a doorway open to allow consciousness to enter these robotic, mechanical systems, these mechanical avatars, right? You read about in the book of Enoch about the Nephilim spirits, right? What better way to give them a body to inhabit, right? These free-floating spirits, right? That are trapped here on Earth, that aren't allowed to go to the higher dimensions like we are. When we pass, we go to the higher dimensions. But the Nephilim spirits have been barred from the higher dimensions, at least according to the book of Enoch, okay? And so they're free-floating demonic spirits here on Earth. Now think about if you have these humanoid-like robots, these avatar robots, right? These AI-run robots. What if they're able to take over the controls on these things and merge their consciousness with the brains, the operating systems of these AI robots? Now all of a sudden, they can function physically in this realm again. But maybe it's not even that, folks. Maybe what's truly going to give life to these things is that spirits will come from higher dimensions and use these robots to incarnate on Earth in. Instead of incarnating in an organic robot body, it'll be in a mechanical, metallic, plastic robot body. You know? A silicon-based body. I don't know, folks. I'm just speculating, but look, this is something we got to really think about here. Because I took you guys from the beginning to what we're looking at now, and I'd like to ask you, is there really a major difference? Because some of you are going to say, well, yeah, there's a major difference. One's metal and one's flesh. And it's not the same. And the brain is organic, and the computer, the AI is silicon. It's microchips and stuff. But folks, the function is the same. Don't you get it? See, what I'm trying to tell you here is that the human body was always a machine. It was just an organic machine built from the materials that are found here on Earth. And isn't that basically what we're doing with these robots? We're using the metals and the silicon and the crystals, the plastic, the oil to make the plastics and everything. We're doing the same damn thing. Now, will these things be taken over? Will they be operated by consciousness from the higher realms? I think we're playing with fire, folks. I think we really are. I think the Anunnaki knew that. And I think the one thing I got to give to Enlil, if you think about it in these terms that we're dealing with now, with these psychopaths like Musk and Bezos and Yuval Harari and Bill Gates and all these clowns, right? All these technocrats that value their crazy inventions and these artificial systems over human life. They're like playing Enki right now, folks. Okay? They're like the Enkyites. they're plain inky. They're trying to bring in a new life form, or at least a new form that maybe consciousness can, incarnate into. And they're going to build these robots where they can self-replicate, because these robots, you could have factories of these robots, folks. Think about it. You only need to have like maybe a handful of these things um, programmed to create more of them. Like you can literally have them working in, the factory, making more of them, self-replicating, right? Now they're not doing it through the way humans self-replicate, right? But it's still a form of self-replication if you have the robots building the robots. See what I'm saying? Now, is this artificial intelligence, are these things going to be just strictly limited to their programming and or are they going to be portals to allow consciousness to take them over and to take over the reins, the controls, so to speak, right? We got to think about this stuff, folks, because guys like Musk and Bezos and Zucker and all these guys, Bill Gates and Yuval Harari and all these technocrats, look, they don't value human life at all. They're just little weirdo kids still playing with their Legos that just have to that happen to be multi-billionaires, and they can play big with bigger toys, and they don't really care the repercussions of what they're doing. For them, it's a game and it's a competition to see who can basically destroy humanity first, I guess, or overrun humanity. Now, when I think back to Enlil and the Yatra Hasis, and I think about Yahweh in the Garden of Eden when when Enki, the serpent, like made Adam and Eve self-aware. In a way, maybe the flood was a way to try to save the Anunnaki. Folks, what if the Anunnaki were the Atlanteans? And the Atlanteans created this worker slave class race that they bioengineered, but yet this race overran them. I mean, like, I don't think that this happened. Well, who knows? Maybe Eden was Atlantis. I don't know, folks. I'm just saying. I'm just speculating here. There have been other people that have speculated that the Anunnaki were not from some other planet or dimension, but they were actually the survivors of Atlantis. And they were highly technologically advanced, and that's why they seem like gods. And then they were bigger human beings. They were bigger humanoids than us. And when they created the Homo sapien, they were a small race compared to them. And that, right? If you're going to create a humanoid worker race, you don't want them as big as you and stronger than you, right? You want them smaller than you, where you can control them, and they're afraid of you because you're bigger than them and stronger than them. So it would make sense, right? Like, I mean, if you look at the depictions of the Anunnaki in the cylinder seals from Sumer and Akkad, and Babylon and such, you'll notice that they're a lot bigger than human beings. You'll see them holding like lions in their arms, like they look like little kittens. They're holding goats in their arms, so they look like little like dogs, in their arms, like a pug or something. I mean, these dudes were big. And then I know, modern academia will say, "Oh, that was just mythology. They were just they were just stylizing these beings because they were powerful. They're gods or rulers, so they made them look bigger than the regular person." They say that about Egypt too, right? Notice how the Egypt gods are always way bigger than humans, right? There's depictions of these humans as tall as palm trees, picking the fruits off the palm trees and handing them down to like humans that are like a third their size. And people are like, "Well, that's their kids." Even though they don't look like kids in the photos, they look like adult humans, but just short, I think it's all there, folks. I think we've always had this story in front of our faces. We just have never been able to, put the whole puzzle piece together. And I'm not saying that I am, folks, but I think I'm starting to get some corners of the puzzle put together, right? If you were going to create an avatar worker, organic slave race, the humans, right? Humans, Homo sapiens, then you'd want them to be smaller than you, not as strong as you, not as intelligent as you. You would want to limit their potential. And if you knew that it was taking spirits that are immortal, that are all powerful from the higher dimensions to give life to these avatars, then you would only want to limit them a certain time, because you don't want to be responsible for trapping consciousness from the higher dimensions in a prison form, right? Like where you, I mean, if you're in a human form and you live forever, you would never know that you came from a realm where you instantly manifest. You don't have to be a worker or a slave. You don't, you would be furious if you found that out, right? Unless something happened and you popped out of the body, right? So in a way, it's kind of showing mercy what Enki did by limiting the humans to, they capping the telomeres so that you could only live to 120 years, right? So I don't know. We're speculating a lot, folks. But look, I've already told you guys, look, if you want to know what's going on, you got to study history. And if you think these are just mythological, stories, then why are these beings described the same in the ancient Egyptian papyrus stories, in the Vedic texts with these gods, that had these Vimanas flying around, and they had like battles in the skies, and they were bigger than humans and more powerful. And look, folks, these are all the same stories in the Greeks and Roman gods, right? Folks, the giants in the Bible, it's all there, folks. It's in front of our faces. Those were not mythologies. Those were truth. Okay? So, what a cliffhanger to leave you guys on, right? Wow. Man, I didn't even know where that conversation was going to go. That went crazy deep. I mean, I thought about, we talked about stuff here that I haven't even really contemplated that much on. And wow, it's crazy when you start. This is a crazy rabbit hole, man. Whoa. That's nuts to think about all of that. I'm going to have to contemplate on this video, when we go to do part 3, because wow, what a home run, right? So anyways, guys, hey, this will probably be uploaded at least by Sunday, unless I drop Fridays and Saturdays today when I get home from work. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna roll. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. If you're interested in the one-on-one Zooms, would love to meet you. Would love to connect with you, network with you. Your donation for my time, you get a copy of the Zoom, and you get a gift of garnets. And I'm just finishing up with those garnets this weekend, and there's going to be a special thing in there now. So my wife and I, we were going to start making jewelry with the garnets, with the like little, with the really little gemmy ones, like just little simple pendants and stuff. And so I think what I might do is, what I want to do is send that pendant, maybe some of those pendants to you guys, and you can put them on whatever chain you want. We're going to be selling necklaces and stuff, but I'll at least send you guys out just a simple pendant with some of the little gems. That's how I'll send you the little ones and that, and then you'll get some of the bigger gems that I've been working on cleaning up with acid and stuff. So those are about ready to go out. I know some of you have been on wait for about 3 weeks for those to be sent out. Bear with me. I was about ready to send those out, and then I decided I needed to do more for you guys. I wanted to make it more special for you guys, so you're not just getting, kind of little rocks that are kind of purplish tinted and they look cool, but and you're not going to know what to do with them. Now, they're not perfect, but they're a lot more cleaned up now. And now you'll get a little pendant with the little garnets in there that are already nice and like a light pink to like a little purple. They shine in UV light, in the sunlight they light up. They're really cool. So I think you guys will like that. And you can put it on whatever necklace you want, or just carry that little pendant around, or put it on your bed, on your dresser, whatever, whatever you want to do with it, guys. It's just my thank you to you guys, because there's a few of you guys that book me on a regular, and you guys don't understand right now with what my wife and I are dealing with. It's such a blessing. Losing that income from Exit the Matrix has been just brutalized my family. There were months where we were doing over $1,600 on Facebook, believe it or not. And you know, when you were making that for over a year and then all of a sudden it gets ripped away from you, that you just can't make up an income like that. That for some people, that's, you know, that's a month's long wages, you know, part-time wages or something, you know, 30 hours a week maybe. That's a lot of money, and we can't make it up right now. So, you know by doing that, you know, we're trading value for value, energy for energy, but you're also helping us out. And when we can get our feet back under us 100%, I can start working again on getting our that studio done in the basement and go bigger. But anyways, guys, hey, don't pity me. Look, we're all going through hard times. I get it. If you got the means, cool. If you don't, take care of your family. I'm not asking from anybody that is in the same position we're in or worse, right? Just those that have the means and that want to hook up on these one-on-one Zooms and want to talk about whatever you want to talk about. So, hey guys, hey, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you later.